The massive ships of the Draconian battle fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. Hundreds of black vessels with sharp edges moved like a swarm of deadly insects against the darkness of space. Admiral Vexlar stood on the bridge of his command ship. His tall, reptilian body was covered in dark green scales. His yellow eyes narrowed as he looked at the blue-green planet on the large screen before him. "So this is Earth," he said, his voice deep and cold. "It looks weak." Captain Zix bowed his head. "Yes, Admiral. Our reports show these humans are not very advanced. They have only reached their own moon. They have no real space weapons." Admiral Vexlar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Perfect. Another easy victory for the Draconian Empire." The Draconians had conquered over 50 planets in the last 100 years. They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who fought back. Now they needed Earth's water, metals, and people for work. "Begin the standard plan," ordered Vexlar. "Send one ship to demand they surrender. Give them 24 hours to decide. Then we attack." A single Draconian ship broke from the fleet and moved toward Earth. It was still smaller than any human ship, but it carried weapons that could destroy a city. Admiral Vexlar waited, expecting the humans to panic when they saw the ship, but something strange happened. "Admiral," Captain Zix suddenly shouted, "we've lost contact with the ship." Vexlar turned sharply. "What do you mean, lost contact?" "It's gone from our screens. No signal. No emergency message. Nothing." This had never happened before. Admiral Vexlar looked at the planet again. Perhaps these humans were not as weak as they thought. "Send a squadron of 5 scout ships. Find out what happened." 5 small, fast ships left the fleet. They moved quickly toward Earth, their sensors scanning everything. 20 minutes later, they too disappeared. "Admiral, we've lost the scout ships too," reported a nervous officer. The bridge grew silent. 6 ships gone without a trace. No debris. No explosion. No distress calls. They had simply vanished. Vexlar slammed his fist on the control panel. Impossible. No primitive species could do this. He turned to his best officer. "Commander Sithura, prepare a full report. I want to know what weapons these humans have, how they hide from our sensors. Everything." Commander Sithura, a female Draconian with lighter green scales and sharp intelligence in her eyes, nodded. "I will start right away, Admiral." As the fleet pulled back to a safer distance, Admiral Vexlar stared at the innocent-looking blue planet. Something was very wrong. The files said humans were primitive, divided, and easy to conquer, but primitive species did not make warships vanish without a trace. "What are you hiding, humans?" Vexlar whispered. "Whatever tricks you have, they won't save you. The Draconian Empire has never failed to conquer a world, and we won't start with yours." Little did he know that the humans weren't even aware they were under attack yet, and that the truth about them would shake the mighty Draconian Empire to its core. Commander Sthera worked through the night in her private quarters. 6 ships gone without a trace was not just unusual, it was impossible. In the 300 years of Draconian conquest, no enemy had ever made their ships simply vanish. "Computer, show me all data from the last transmissions of the scout ships," she ordered. The screen filled with numbers and images. The last moments showed nothing strange. No weapons fired at them. No strange energy readings. The ships approached Earth's atmosphere, and then, nothing. Stera rubbed her tired eyes. "This makes no sense." A message alert flashed on her screen. It was from Draconian High Command, the central leadership back on their home planet. This was rare during a mission. The message was marked urgent and top secret. Sithera entered her security code and opened it. The face of General Kivarn, head of all military operations, appeared. His old scales were dark with worry. "Commander Sithera, what I am about to tell you has happened on 3 other worlds in the past month. Ships disappearing near planets that should be easy to conquer." His voice was grim. "No debris. No signals. just gone. Cythera felt cold fear run down her spine. 3 other worlds, with the same pattern. Yes, we believe they were isolated incidents until now. This is no coincidence. What does the Admiral know? Cythera asked. Nothing yet. You will brief him after we finish. We need a new approach. Direct force is clearly not working. After the call ended, Cythera went straight to Admiral Vexlar's command room. When she told him about the other missing ships, his yellow eyes widened with shock. I don't understand, Vexlar said, his voice low with anger. How can primitives defeat us without firing a single shot? Sir, I have a suggestion, said Cythera carefully. We need intelligence from the planet's surface. I propose I go to Earth myself. Vexlar stared at her. You? How? Our medical team can modify my appearance to look human. I can blend in, learn their secrets, find out how they're making our ships vanish. The Admiral considered this. It was risky, but they had no better options. How long would these modifications take? 3 days, sir. Vexlar nodded slowly. Do it, but be careful. If these humans can make warships disappear, what might they do to a single spy? 3 days later, Cythera looked at herself in the mirror. Gone were her green scales, replaced with soft pink human skin. Her sharp teeth were now flat. Her yellow eyes were brown. She looked completely human. Your cover identity is Sarah Thompson, the medical officer explained. You will be placed in a human city called Portland. We've created documents saying you're a new employee at a technology company. Cythera nodded, trying to get used to her new face. What do we know about human behavior? Not much, admitted the officer. Be quiet, watch others, and copy what they do. That night, a small pod launched from the Draconian fleet. It entered Earth's atmosphere, invisible to human radar. When it landed in a forest outside Portland, Cythera stepped out into the cool night air of Earth. She looked up at the stars, knowing the fleet was watching. Then she turned toward the lights of the city. Somewhere in there was the secret to defeating the mighty Draconian Empire. And she would find it. On her first morning on Earth, Cythera, now Sarah Thompson, walked through downtown Portland. Everything felt strange. The air was rich with smells. The sounds were too loud, and the humans were everywhere, talking, laughing, and rushing around. She wore clothes like the humans, jeans, a blue shirt, and a jacket. She carried a bag with her fake ID and some Earth money. Her heart beat fast as she approached the tall glass building where she would work. Tech Innovations, read the sign. According to her cover story, she was a new data analyst transferred from another office. Inside, a smiling woman at the front desk looked up. You must be Sarah. Welcome to Tech Innovations. Cythera tried to smile back. On her world, showing teeth was a threat. Yes, I am Sarah, new employee. Great. Let me show you to your desk. David will help you get started with everything. David Chen was a young human man with kind eyes and dark hair. He stood up when she approached, holding out his hand. Welcome to the team, Sarah, he said cheerfully. Cythera stared at his hand, trying to remember what to do. Ah yes, humans touched hands when meeting. She reached out and awkwardly shook his hand. Thank you, she said stiffly. David laughed. First day nerves, huh? Don't worry, we're a friendly bunch here. Throughout the day, Cythera watched the humans carefully. They were nothing like what Draconian files said. They weren't primitive at all. Their computers were different from Draconian technology, but very advanced in their own way. And the humans worked together smoothly, helping each other without orders or threats. Most surprising was how they treated her. No one questioned her strange behavior. Instead, they were kind and patient, explaining things she didn't understand. Want to join us for lunch? David asked later. Cythera had brought special food pills that were safe for her modified body. I brought food. Come anyway, he smiled. It's a good way to get to know everyone. At lunch, the humans talked about their families, their homes, and something called weekend plans. Cythera stayed quiet, but inside her mind was racing. These humans were so connected to each other. On her world, such personal talk would be seen as weakness. After work, she walked around the city, scanning with a hidden device. She needed to find strange energy readings or secret military bases, anything that could explain the vanishing ships. Near the technology company, her scanner suddenly beeped. Strange energy patterns, the same kind recorded near the vanished ships. The signal came from beneath her workplace. That night, she sent a coded message to the fleet. Possible defense system located beneath my workplace. Humans more advanced than reported. We'll investigate further. As she prepared for bed in her small apartment, Cythera felt confused. The humans should be enemies, yet they had welcomed her without question. David had even offered to help her find her way around the city this weekend. For the first time in her life, Cythera felt doubt about her mission. What if the Draconian Empire was wrong about humans? And what secret technology lay beneath her workplace that could make warships vanish? She would find out, even if the answers changed everything she believed. Admiral Vexlar paced the bridge of his command ship, his claws clicking against the metal floor. 5 days had passed since Cythera began her mission on Earth. Her reports were strange. Humans were more advanced than expected and possibly had a secret facility under her workplace. "I'm tired of waiting," he growled. "Prepare the fleet for attack. We will strike tomorrow at dawn." The officers moved quickly, entering attack coordinates into the ship's computers. Target lists appeared on screens. Military bases, power plants, government buildings. "Sir," said Captain Zix, "what about Commander Cythera?" Vexlar's yellow eyes narrowed. "Send her one message. She has 6 hours to get to safety. Then we attack." On Earth, Cythera received the message while at work. Her heart raced. 6 hours until the fleet attacked. She had to find the human weapon now. "Sarah, are you okay?" David asked, noticing her worried face. "You look pale." She forced a smile. "Yes, just not feeling well." "Maybe you should go home early," he suggested. "No," she said too quickly. I need to finish some work first." David looked concerned but nodded and went back to his desk. Cythera waited until lunch when the office was quiet. Then she took out her scanner and followed the strange energy readings. They led to a door marked "Maintenance Only" in the basement. The door was locked, but her Draconian technology made quick work of it. Inside was another door, this one with a keypad. As she tried to hack it, a voice behind her made her freeze. "Sarah, what are you doing down here?" She turned to see David standing there, his face serious. "I got lost," she lied. David's kind expression hardened. "No, you didn't. You're looking for our defense system. You're not human." Cythera's hand moved to the hidden weapon in her pocket, but David raised his hands. "We're not going to hurt you. We know you're Draconian." She stepped back in shock. "How?" "We've known about aliens for years," David explained. "Your fleet isn't the first to try attacking Earth." He entered a code on the keypad. The door opened to reveal a large room filled with glowing equipment. In the center was a sphere of pulsing blue light. "This is the Quantum Entanglement Defense System," David said. "We don't destroy attacking ships. We shift them into a parallel dimension where time almost stops." On screens around the room, Cythera saw the 6 missing Draconian ships floating in what looked like blue glass, frozen in time. "Why show me this?" she asked. "Because your fleet is preparing to attack," David said. "Our satellites detected them moving into position, and we want to offer you a choice." Above them, the Draconian fleet began its approach to Earth. The first ships entered attack formation. Suddenly, alarms blared across Admiral Vexlar's bridge. Ship systems went crazy. Navigation screens showed impossible locations. Weapons targeted empty space. "What's happening?" Vexlar shouted as 3 battleships vanished before his eyes. "Sir, we must retreat," yelled Captain Zix. But it was too late. A blue wave washed over the command ship, and time itself seemed to stretch like rubber. The mighty Draconian fleet was caught in humanity's trap. Cythera stared at the screens, showing the Draconian fleet caught in the blue energy field. Ships she had served on for years were now frozen in time, their crews suspended between one moment and the next. "You said I have a choice," she said quietly to David. "What choice?" David's face was serious but not unkind. "Help us end this without anyone dying, or join your fleet in temporal suspension." "Why would you offer me a choice at all?" she asked. "I'm your enemy." David gestured to a table and chairs in the corner of the room. As they sat down, other humans entered, scientists and military officers. "We want peace, not war," David explained. "We've studied your empire. You conquer because that's all you know. It's how Draconians evolved." A woman in a lab coat stepped forward. "My name is Dr. Martinez. We've learned that Draconians evolved as apex predators on a harsh world. Natural armor, built-in weapons, aggressive instincts. You were born to dominate." Cythera nodded slowly. "And humans. We were prey animals," said Dr. Martinez. "Weak, no claws, no armor. We survived by working together and thinking our way out of danger." For the first time, Cythera understood. Humans weren't powerful because they had better weapons. They were powerful because they had evolved differently. "Your weakness forced you to become strong in other ways," she said. David nodded. "Exactly. We developed empathy, cooperation, and innovation. When we did fight wars, they were mostly against other humans. We became very good at defense." A military officer pointed to the screens. "We could have destroyed your ships, but we chose not to." Cythera looked at the frozen fleet again. "Can you release them?" "Yes," said David. "No one in those ships is harmed. For them, only seconds will have passed when we release them." Cythera thought of Admiral Vexlar and his orders to destroy this world. She thought of the empire that had raised her to conquer and kill without question. Then she looked at these humans who had the power to destroy her kind, but chose mercy instead. "If I help you," she asked, "what do you want?" "A chance for peace," David replied. "We want to meet with your leaders. Show them there's another way besides endless conquest." Cythera made her decision. "I will help you. But there's something you should know. The Admiral won't listen to reason. He's old-school Draconian. Conquest is all he understands." David smiled. "Then we'll need to be very convincing." In the temporal field, Admiral Vexlar experienced time in slow motion. His thoughts stretched like honey, 1 second feeling like an eternity. Through the blue haze, he saw the impossible, his mighty fleet, powerless. And somewhere on the planet below, a species that his empire had dismissed as primitive had defeated them without firing a shot. The humans had no natural weapons, no armor, no killer instincts. Yet somehow, they had stopped the unstoppable Draconian empire. As the temporal effect began to focus just on his ship, allowing him to think normally while the rest of the fleet remained frozen, Vexlar realized he was about to learn the shocking truth about humans. And that truth would change everything. Admiral Vexlar found himself in a strange white room. The walls glowed softly. There was a table, some chairs, and not much else. He tried to move but felt as if his body was pushing through thick liquid. Every motion took enormous effort. A door opened, and 2 figures entered, a human male and Commander Cythera. But Cythera looked strange, with pink skin instead of scales. "What have you done to yourself?" Vexlar growled, his voice sounding slow even to his own ears. "Admiral Vexlar," said the human, "my name is David Chen. Welcome to Earth's temporal negotiation chamber." Vexlar tried to lunge at the human, but his body barely moved. The effort made his muscles burn. "Don't bother," said David calmly. "You're still partially caught in the temporal field. You can think and speak normally, but your body exists mostly outside regular time. Cythera stepped forward. Admiral, please listen. These humans aren't what we thought. Traitor, Vexlar spat. You've betrayed the Empire. I've discovered the truth, she replied. The humans could have destroyed our entire fleet. Instead, they chose to trap the ships in time. No one is hurt. No one is dead. Vexlar laughed harshly. Impossible. No primitive species could defeat our technology. David touched a panel on the wall. A large screen appeared, showing the frozen Draconian fleet suspended in blue energy. Your ships are caught in what we call a temporal bubble, David explained. For them, time has nearly stopped. When we release them, only seconds will have passed. I don't believe you, said Vexlar, but doubt crept into his voice. David touched the panel again. The screen split to show different images, humans fighting with stone tools, then swords, then guns, then nuclear weapons, and finally the quantum technology that had captured the Draconian fleet. This is the history of human warfare, David said. From our earliest days to now, this took us about 10,000 years. Vexlar's yellow eyes widened. No species evolved military technology that quickly. For most of our history, David continued, our worst enemies were other humans. We had to become very good at fighting and defending ourselves. Cythera moved closer to the Admiral. Sir, I've seen their world. They don't want to destroy us. They want peace. The Draconian Empire doesn't make peace, Vexlar growled. We conquer. And that's why you'll lose, David said quietly. We've already contacted 12 worlds the Draconians conquered. If your empire doesn't change, we'll share our temporal defense technology with all of them. Vexlar felt cold fear for the first time in his long military career. If these humans armed other worlds with their technology, the Empire's days of conquest would be over. What do you want? He asked finally. A chance to talk, David replied. Your empire has existed for thousands of years by taking what you want. We're offering you something different, a chance to build something together instead. Vexlar looked at Cythera, at her calm face and steady eyes. She had seen something in these humans that had changed her deeply. Show me, he said at last. Show me why I should believe you. While Admiral Vexlar remained in the temporal negotiation chamber, leaders from countries around the world gathered for an emergency meeting. On large screens, they could see the Draconian fleet frozen in the blue temporal field high above Earth. The alien fleet is contained for now, said General Williams of the United States, but we need to decide what to do next. Can we keep them trapped forever? Asked the Chinese president. Dr. Martinez shook her head. No, the temporal field requires enormous energy. We can hold them for maybe 2 more weeks. The room grew quiet as the leaders considered their options. What if we destroy them while they're trapped? Suggested a military commander. They came to attack us after all. David Chen, who had been invited to the meeting, stood up. With respect, I think that's the wrong approach. If we destroy this fleet, the Draconian Empire will just send more. They control thousands of worlds across the galaxy. What do you suggest, Mr. Chen? Asked the Secretary General. We should send Admiral Vexlar back with a message, David said. Tell the Empire that we'll share our temporal defense technology with any peaceful world threatened by them. That would end their ability to conquer. Heated debate followed. Some leaders wanted to study the Draconian ships for their technology. Others feared releasing any of the aliens. Cythera was also present, under guard. She stood when asked to speak. The Draconian Empire only understands strength, she explained. If you release Vexlar with just words, they won't listen. You need to show your power. Finally, after hours of discussion, they reached a decision. Admiral Vexlar would be sent back to his empire with recordings showing how easily Earth had neutralized his fleet, and he would not go alone. We will send an unmanned probe with him, announced General Williams. If the Empire chooses war instead of peace, The probe will create a temporal field around their home world. Their emperor and ruling council will be frozen in time, just like this fleet. When presented with this plan, Admiral Vexlar could hardly believe his ears. "You would threaten the Imperial throne world?" he asked in shock. "Not a threat," David corrected. "A consequence. We don't want war, Admiral. But we will defend ourselves and others if forced." Vexlar stared at the humans around him. These creatures his empire had dismissed as primitive now held the fate of his civilization in their hands, and they had done it not through brute force, but through innovation. "The Emperor will never agree to peace," Vexlar said. "It goes against everything the Empire stands for." "Then perhaps the Empire needs to change," replied David. "Evolution isn't just about physical strength, Admiral. It's also about adapting to new situations." As preparations began to release one ship from the temporal field, the ship that would carry Vexlar and the probe back to the Empire, the Admiral found himself facing a truth he had never considered before. Maybe conquest wasn't the only way to be strong. The Emperor's throne room fell silent as Admiral Vexlar finished speaking. He had returned alone in a single ship, the rest of his mighty fleet lost on Earth. Now he stood before the Imperial court, telling a story so unbelievable that many thought he had gone mad. "These humans trapped our ships in time?" asked the Emperor, his voice cold with disbelief. His massive body was covered in black scales that shimmered in the throne room's dim light. "And they sent you back with threats?" "Not threats, Your Majesty. Consequences," Vexlar said carefully. "They could have destroyed us all, but chose not to." The military commanders laughed harshly. "Cowardice," shouted General Draz. "You were afraid and ran away." Vexlar's yellow eyes narrowed. "You think I lie? Look at this." He activated a small device. A hologram appeared, showing clear images of the Draconian fleet trapped in blue energy. Then came a recording of David Chen explaining the temporal technology. The Emperor leaned forward. "This proves nothing. These could be." Suddenly, the entire throne room froze. The guards, the commanders, even the Emperor himself stopped mid-sentence. Only Vexlar could still move. A small light blinked on the device in his hand. The human probe had activated, creating a temporary temporal field as a demonstration. After 10 seconds, everyone unfroze, looking around in confusion and fear. "What just happened?" demanded the Emperor, rising from his throne. "The humans showed you their power," Vexlar explained. "That was just for seconds. They can make it last forever." Panic spread through the Imperial court. The Emperor retreated to his private chambers, refusing to see anyone. Military commanders argued loudly about what to do. Some wanted to send every available ship to destroy Earth. Others refused to go near the planet. In the confusion, a young Draconian named Viekseri watched carefully. The Emperor's youngest offspring had secretly studied other civilizations for years. Viekseri believed the Empire's endless conquest would eventually lead to its destruction. "Admiral Vexlar," Viekseri said, approaching the old warrior in a quiet hallway. "I believe you, and I think these humans offer us a chance to change before it's too late." Vexlar studied the young royal. "Change. The Empire has conquered for 10,000 years. It's all we know." "Not all of us," Viekseri replied. "Some of us believe there's another way. And now we have proof. A species that could defeat us, but offers peace instead." News of the human technology spread quickly. On conquered worlds, people began to hope for freedom. Within the Empire, many Draconians questioned their leaders for the first time. Viekseri gathered supporters, younger military officers, scientists, and even some older leaders who had grown tired of endless war. They called for opening diplomatic channels with Earth. The Emperor finally emerged from seclusion, looking older and afraid. He ordered a complete avoidance of Earth's solar system. No ships were to go near the planet. It wasn't the response Viekseri had hoped for, but it was a start. For the first time in its long history, The mighty Draconian Empire had found something it feared more than weakness. It had found humanity. 3 months passed since Admiral Vexlar returned to the Draconian Empire. On Earth, Cythera had chosen to stay. She was still called Sarah by her human friends, though they now knew her true identity. She worked with scientists at a new research center built to study alien civilizations. Her knowledge of Draconian technology and culture was invaluable. David Chen worked there too, leading a team that studied the connections between different species in the galaxy. One morning, Cythera was examining ancient Draconian records she had secretly copied before leaving her ship. She noticed something odd in the genetic data. "David, look at this," she called. "There's a pattern in our DNA that matches human DNA." David came over and studied the screen. "That's impossible. Humans and Draconians evolved on different planets, light years apart." They spent days analyzing the data. Other scientists joined them. Finally, they made an incredible discovery. "We share an ancestor," Cythera announced during a meeting with Earth's leaders. "Humans and Draconians come from the same source." Dr. Martinez explained further. "It appears that millions of years ago, an advanced civilization seeded compatible life forms across many worlds. As these life forms evolved, they became different species based on their environments. On the harsh Draconian homeworld, physical strength and aggression were necessary to survive." Cythera added, "That's why we developed scales, claws, and a conquest mindset. While on Earth," David continued, "we had different challenges that required cooperation and innovation. We became physically weaker but developed stronger social bonds and creativity." This news stunned everyone. Humans and Draconians weren't aliens to each other. They were distant cousins who had evolved differently. Cythera immediately sent this information to Vixeri through a secure channel. "This could change everything," she wrote. On the Draconian throne world, Vixeri received the message with excitement. The young royal had gathered many supporters, but faced strong opposition from traditionalists who wanted to maintain the empire's conquering ways. This new information was exactly what Vixeri needed. That night, Vixeri broke into the empire's secure broadcast system and sent a message to every world under Draconian control. "Fellow Draconians," Vixeri said, "I bring news that will change our understanding of the universe. The humans are not alien enemies to be conquered. They are our kin, following a different evolutionary path." Vixeri showed the genetic evidence and explained how it confirmed what some Draconian philosophers had suspected for centuries, that many intelligent species shared a common origin. "Our differences with humans are not reasons for war, but opportunities for growth. Their strengths complement our weaknesses. Together, we could be something greater than either species alone." The Emperor was furious when he heard about the broadcast. He ordered Vixeri's arrest, but many Draconians, especially younger ones, were inspired by this new vision. On Earth, David and Cythera watched recordings of Vixeri's message. "Will it make a difference?" David asked. "It already has," Cythera replied. "For the first time in our history, Draconians are questioning not just what we do, but who we are." The revelation of shared ancestry had started something that could not be stopped. Both civilizations would never be the same again. 1 year had passed since the Draconian fleet vanished at Earth. Today, representatives from both worlds met on a neutral space station halfway between Earth and the Draconian throne world. The station's main hall was filled with both species. Humans in their formal clothes stood alongside Draconians with their ceremonial scale polish and rank markings. Once enemies, now they gathered to sign a historic agreement. Vixeri had led a peaceful revolution within the empire. The old emperor had finally stepped down after massive protests across Draconian worlds. Though many traditionalists still opposed change, the empire had withdrawn from 12 conquered planets and promised to free more. Admiral Vexlar, once the symbol of Draconian military power, now served as an advisor to the new diplomatic team. He still didn't fully trust humans, but he respected their strength and intelligence. "Never thought I'd see this day," he said to Cythera as they waited for the ceremony to begin. Cythera smiled. She wore a special outfit that honored both her Draconian heritage and her time on Earth. "The galaxy has changed, Admiral. We must change with it." David Chen entered the hall, leading Earth's diplomatic team. He nodded to Cythera, who now led a group of scientists working to recover more knowledge about the ancient civilization that had seeded both their species across the stars. "Today marks a new beginning," announced Vanishes, standing at the center of the hall. "Not just peace between our worlds, but a true alliance. Together, we will explore the galaxy not as conquerors, but as discoverers." The Earth-Draconian Concord was signed to applause from both sides. It promised cooperation in science, trade, and defense. The humans would share some of their temporal technology, while Draconians would provide their advanced space travel knowledge. Later, at a quiet moment during the celebration, David found Cythera looking out a window at the stars. "Thinking about home?" he asked. "Which one?" she replied with a smile. "I now have two." David's face grew serious. "There's something I never told you about our defense system. It wasn't reverse engineered from alien technology like most people think." "What do you mean?" "Humans developed it on our own, from pure theory. Our scientists imagined it was possible, so they tried until it worked." Cythera looked surprised. "In just a few thousand years of civilization, that's impossible." "That's the real shocking truth about humans," David said quietly. "We imagine things that don't exist yet, and then we make them real. It's our greatest strength." As they spoke, urgent messages arrived for both of them. Astronomers from Earth and the Empire had detected strange energy signals coming from beyond the galaxy's edge. Something unknown was approaching. Vanishes joined them, reading the same report. "Whatever this is, we'll face it together." Cythera looked at the stars again, thinking about how everything had changed. 1 year ago, a Draconian fleet had vanished at Earth, thinking they were facing a primitive species. Instead, they had found family. The greatest power in the universe, it turned out, wasn't conquest or even advanced technology. It was the ability to change, to grow, and to see enemies become allies. That was the true shocking truth about humans. And now, about Draconians too.